All right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
All right, everybody, welcome on in. NorCal Sports Network. Glad you're joining us. Hopefully this is a little more exciting than that last basketball game. It was a four-fest. Oh, my goodness. Warriors get the victory. 104-99, I believe. Final?
Yeah, 104-98.
104, something like that. All right. Let's give our sponsor a thank you tonight. That would be Chapman Law Group. Chapman Law Group. Check them out in the description of the video or give them a call, 415-613-9483, for all your legal needs. Hey, maybe you've had an accident or you know a friend who's been in an accident. Fender bender. Little injury, give them a call. Personal injury attorneys and many other things as well. But check them out, Chapman Law Group. 415-613-9483. Let them know NorCal Sports Network sent you. All right, guys. A victory is a victory. But, wow. Not very impressive, to say the least.
Right.
I mean, the third quarter was good. They scored 39 points in the third quarter. They only got 43 in the first half. And they got 39, and then they struggle. They end up with 22 points in the fourth or something like that. My goodness.
It was a good third quarter. That was it. The whole game.
Third quarter was basically the game because if they don't go up,
I agree.
What did they get up at one point? 14 something?
15, I think, was the highest.
15, and then it kind of dwindled down, but the fact that they were, and then Orlando comes back and takes the lead in the fourth.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, if they lose this game, this is bad because Orlando is struggling like crazy. They've lost, I think, like 9 out of 10 now after tonight, and they've gotten blown out a lot. So this is a team you shouldn't. You should run them off the court. You should win this game by 20 so that Steph doesn't even have to play in the fourth quarter. It's got a tough week. They got back-to-back games this week. Wednesday night, they have their who they play in Utah, right? In Utah. And then they go to the Lakers. So I'm assuming Steph's not going to play Wednesday night up in,
especially because they beat Utah without him.
Yeah, so I expect that. So what was your take overall on the game, guys?
You can go first, Lou.
I thought the first half was one of the worst NBA games I've ever seen. The first quarter, especially coming off a 20-point blowout. I think two things. The Warriors were very lucky they were at home. If they played like that on the road, they would have been down 20. And it got to a point where they had 6 turnovers and only 1 made basket. It's just hard to watch. It was good to see Green out there, but, his first 2 shots were air balls, and he had 2 turnovers in the first 3 minutes. But, a win's a win. I just don't like it when, it almost was the same fourth quarter again. But when you look at the positive thing, the 2 big guys come off the bench. I mean, I know we're going to talk about players of the game, but Moody was huge. And I think Looney, they're going to be my co-MVPs of the game because without them, they wouldn't have won. I mean, I know you get the offense from, Wiggins and Curry, but I mean, Looney, 16 boards again. I mean, where would we be without Looney? I mean, he's just been unbelievable. I know, you guys maybe didn't see that, but I mean, he's probably been, huge. And then, I think Moody tonight, finally. And the thing about Moody, it wasn't that he had a great game. He had clutch shots when he had to. And that's what's made the difference. and it was good to see a win. I mean, I want the Warriors to win. I'll be happy with 42 or 43 wins, but this tells me this team, boy, they need a lot of work. They now had, they had a 9-game, 8 or 9 straight home. Now they're going to go on the road for, 12 out of 15. It's a lot different on the road in the NBA, and obviously they need help. And especially with everybody else who make a move. And if the Warriors don't make a move, you blame them. I mean, everybody else is making a move. I just think it comes down to, it takes both sides to tango. And I don't think anybody on these Warriors, I don't think anybody wants any of these Warriors unless it's going to be Wiggins, Kuminga, or Steph. I mean, I think tonight was a perfect example. So,
yeah, I think it's going to be a big player. I guess the least they would do is Vucevic, which would probably not involve Wiggins, or it wouldn't. In fact, it wouldn't involve Wiggins because the salary's too much. It would involve 2 guys, probably. For Vucevic, it would probably be somebody like, I don't know, probably Schroeder and slow-mo or something. Something along
Payton
those
and
lines.
slow-mo. Some bench players.
Yeah. So, I mean, because Vucevic makes 20, Schroeder makes 13. You could even do it without Schroeder. You could do Payton and slow-mo, and probably Waters would do that if you wanted to do something like that. If you really wanted to keep
a couple second-round picks.
Yeah. So,
but why would Chicago do that? You guys tell me.
Lou, they want to move.
And can you just tell them what Zach LaVine got traded for?
I saw it. I thought Sacramento made a great trade, just like I thought the Warriors had a chance to get both. They had a chance to get LaVine and Vucevic, and they chickened out because they wouldn't give up the first-round picks. All I'm saying is, why would Chicago take?
They're dumping salary, Lou. They want to be.
There are other teams out there that have better players than us to give up. That's what I'm trying to say.
Chicago doesn't care what they get. They don't. If they could,
there are a lot of teams that need a big man. You guys just assume all the teams they want to go to the Warriors. You guys are wrong.
Chicago's trying to unload players. Why do you think?
I understand that, but look who you're giving them in return.
They don't want stuff back. They want to get rid of salaries.
They just got a bunch of nobody players. The Bulls. The Bulls didn't get De'Aaron Fox. The Spurs did. And the Spurs got.
Why would they want slow? Why? I understand Payton because it's a 1-year contract. Payton's the only one I'd say is a 1-year contract. But why would you want slow-mo for 4 years? That's what I'm saying.
Just move.
They would trade slow-mo for second-round picks to a team like Minnesota or another team who needs another player.
And third team involved. All right.
No, it's not a 3-team. It doesn't even have to be a third team.
You just said that. You just said that. All right.
No,
I think you guys are wrong because I think a lot more people are in charge of want Vucevic with better players. Go ahead.
Nobody's wanting Vucevic at this point, unless the Lakers pull something off just to have a big man, because they don't have a big man now. But yeah. So I think this ends up being, I think something bigger is coming. I think hopefully that Jimmy Butler does not go to the Phoenix Suns, because the Suns will possibly move KD if they don't get Jimmy Butler. And I think the Warriors, in that case, Wiggins would unfortunately be gone. And a couple of other, Schroeder would definitely be in that deal, I think, because that would give you $37 million. And I think KD's up close to 50. So it would take at least 4 players and some ones to go along with it. That would be the deal. The deal I'd really like to see them do, but I don't think it will happen, is Giannis made a statement the other day. He said that with Luka going to LA, he wanted to see all the European stars play in the big cities. And I don't know if that was just a joke, or if he was hinting like, hey, I'm going to want out too. I want to play in a big city, big market, which is, LA,
Well,
Golden
he said
State.
Jokic should go to the Knicks too. He started naming teams. He just didn't say where he wanted to go.
Yeah.
And he started smiling.
Yeah. So, the big markets is obviously New York, LA, and probably, the Warriors are a big market, and there's not a ton of big markets in the NBA when you think about it. The NBA is a league.
They were good.
The NBA has a league that really, you think about it, they play in markets where football and baseball don't, like Portland and San Antonio and Orlando. And I mean, I could probably come up with several others, but there is markets that the NBA will go to because it gets supported. You're talking 15 to 18, probably 18,000 people to show up versus trying to get 60.
Right.
So I would love to see Giannis come here because I think that would really put the Warriors in a position to compete for a title. I think,
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing with LeBron, a lot of people talk about LeBron coming. Now LeBron is saying he wants to play with Luka and all this crap, and that maybe he can play, even extend his career. Go ahead, LeBron. You'll never win with Luka. The two of you guys don't match up well. I'm sorry. You're both great, but you're both ball hogs, and it ain't going to work. And I hope that deal falls flat on the Lakers' face. I hope LeBron and his ego tries to go ahead and stay in LA, and he gets nowhere. Because I don't see those two guys playing well together. There's only, one basketball and 5 guys on the court, and you're talking 2 guys that each one of them controls the ball over 50% of the time when it's just one of them. So go ahead and make that work. I think that will be hilarious to watch. I mean, it'll be like, it's on the defense, they're like playing 3.5. LeBron ain't going to be, putting it all out to play defense in the regular season, especially early in the regular season. He's going to conserve a ton of energy. Yeah, Chad Spieger says flip Green for KD. I like that.
Someone said that the other day, and I heard you say that also, but someone else.
I think that would be the ultimate, like, in your face move. Please let that happen. Who was it that said what did Green call? Didn't he call him a pussy or?
No, he called him a bitch, and he said that we didn't need. He said that we didn't need him to win a championship, that we won before him and after him, and that he could leave.
Oh, I think it would be awesome. That would be the ultimate. KD comes back, no Draymond, and they win a chip.
Yeah, and I think you keep Draymond if you get KD, to be honest, because that those two with Steph worked before, and basically you have a discounted Klay Thompson and Buddy Hield, right? So, I think I'd keep Draymond in this scenario, and if you could, but I'm just saying I would be okay with keeping Draymond because, like, obviously, Wiggins is a better asset, so I'd like to keep Wiggins. But if not, I'd be okay with keeping Draymond in this scenario with KD because you do know Draymond will do that dirty work. KD's good size presence, but he's not the defender Draymond is. And I'd love to see KD back on the team. I'd be definitely interested in Giannis. Some other people, I'm curious what you guys have to say, and we can kind of go over and want to hear what the chat thinks too. You guys say what you think too. Also, mention some players. What about, like, today they mentioned Sham said that basically the Warriors were calling every single team with an all-star and saying basically what they wanted for who. And, some of the players he mentioned they for sure called on were like Zion, Paul George, Brandon Ingram. What do you think about those 3 guys? Because all 3 of those guys are, good players in my opinion, but they all come with a lot of risk, I think.
Zion and Ingram? Wow.
Zion, Ingram, and PG-13 were the 3 that, the Warriors have called on, reported today, Sham said.
Yeah.
And those are obviously not the ones we want, but I'm just saying, like, because let's obviously the Giannis, Bam, all that stuff. That's our hopes and stuff. But I'm just saying, what about some of these other guys? Like, how would you feel about some of those guys? What's your take on those guys? If the Warriors can't get one of these other players,
I don't know what not Wiggins, but Zion or Brandon Ingram bring to the Warriors, because you assume you're going to lose Wiggins. I don't see that big of a, it's like, are you really improving your team that much?
I agree.
Maybe a game or two,
right?
But I don't see that as a championship team. I think if the Warriors are going to go for it, they need to try and get KD or Giannis or LeBron.
And what about like Jimmy Butler? You guys are against Jimmy.
I'm not on the Jimmy Butler.
Right?
Jimmy's too much of a head case.
Yeah, me too. He's too much of a headache.
I mean, this is the third team he's had a blowout with. He had a blowout with the Bulls, had a blowout with the T-Wolves, and now he's had a blowout with Miami.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, and also you'd have to give Wiggins in that deal because him and Wiggins have beef. So, and obviously they'd probably want Wiggins anyway. So.
Yeah.
And then I guess the other group of players, real quick, that they talked about, and when we get to the comment, is the like the younger players, the younger stars that they called on Paulo, they called on LaMelo, and I forget who the other one I sent you, Dan, was. There was another third young star that they called on. What do you think about those guys? Let me see the text. I remember I texted you it.
I think Paulo helps probably the most.
Oh, it was like. Yeah, it was Paul. I think it was just Paulo and LaMelo was the two.
I mean, LaMelo, he's more flashy and kind of show for the future when Steph's not here, but he doesn't hit his three. He's like 33% from 3-point range or something. He just scores a ton because he shoots a ton of shots. The guy
he kind of need.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just want to make this comment.
Yeah.
BC, this LeBron plus Luka equals dynasty. It ain't going to happen. I'm sorry. I don't know. I know you're an LA guy, but the two playing together, it's not a good fit. Okay. It's just not a good fit because what is LeBron just going to become a subservient to, he's just going to completely let Luka run the show and he's going to just take shots when he needs it? No, when the ball goes to LeBron, he'll either look to make a quick pass that is a good pass or he's going to try and score himself. And I don't know. I just don't think that's a fit the way they play the game. So
yeah, and Chad makes a good comment too about Luka and LeBron. They don't play much defense usually. LeBron can play good defense, but he's just super old. Where most 90% of the game he's just not going to in the regular season game.
Adrian says, Dan, you realize LeBron can play off the ball? Yeah, but he's not going to be Steph running off the ball. He's going to be sitting around waiting, and he'll make one cut off of a screen to get the ball. He's not going to be moving around.
We saw in the Olympics how LeBron, when he plays off ball, he wasn't always the one taking it up because there was other ball handlers on a lot of plays. Right. Even though you could see in the Steph highlight, he was playing off ball and he just stands with his hand. He's and that's it. Yeah. It's a famous highlight now. And if you actually watch it, I think that describes LeBron on a lot of possessions perfectly. He's not going to be running around in circles like Steph. I think he's a great player and he is a great shooter at times, but LeBron isn't the shooter he's not a shooting guard. LeBron's a point forward point guard. He's not a, shooting guard. And neither is Luka. So that's where I don't see the fit. It's just because neither of them are the shooters that they need to be to play off ball as much as they'll need to. They're not going to have, they both are rhythm shooters. And so is like a player like Steph. But a player like Steph doesn't need a dribble to get his shot off necessarily. And if you watch LeBron and Luka play, or anyone who knows basketball, certain shooters are like that. Like they to get into rhythm, they almost have to dribble, and that's 100% Luka. LeBron, he's a good 3-point shooter when he gets really hot. But again, keep in mind, Lakers fans and NBA fans, LeBron's a very streaky 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
He'll make 60% in 10 games, and then next week 20%. He's not. It's not very. It's up and down.
Yeah. Yeah. So looking at the box score tonight, Steph had a quiet 24. He was 8 of 8 from the free throw line, but 2 of 12 from 3-point range, 7 of 21 overall. In fact, I'll just go
So
ahead.
it's good from what's that from 2 then? Like 5 and 9?
What's that?
5 and 7? What was he from 2 then? What'd you say he was from 3?
He was 2 of 12. So
And then
that's
5 and 9
6
from 2.
points, 14. He made 10 points. So he had to make 5 other shots. Yeah.
So 5 out of 9 from 2. He just had a bad 3-point shooting game, basically.
Yeah.
Probably
Looney
took
is
too many, I thought, didn't you? He kind of chucked a couple.
Yeah. As Lou mentioned, 16 rebounds by Looney. Had a putback there that actually went off of who was that? Was that Banchero or was that somebody else tipped it in? I can't remember. Was it Wagner? I don't know, but I think it was Wagner. The ball that we got tipped in off the driving missed layup, and Looney got the credit for the points. But a guy that how about that putback dunk by Wendell Carter? He just kind of threw it down. I don't even think his hand touched the rim. He was too far away. He just spiked it. It just went straight in, man. That was pretty impressive. But they're pretty boring, Orlando. I mean, the kid that from Gonzaga, what's I'm drawing a blank. Lou, you remember him? What's the kid from Gonzaga, the guard that was Jalen Suggs, Suggs.
Yeah,
Jalen Suggs. Yeah, he's out. What's going on with him? I didn't realize he was out.
Yeah, they've had Suggs and their big guy.
Orlando
at one time won 12 straight, and then they had 3 injuries to their starting 5, and now they got 2 of them back, and they're just, brutal road trip. They went to Portland, blown out by like 20-something. They went to Utah, blown out by 30. And then, this is the last game of a road trip. And, they today they came out sort of trying to win, and they didn't. So, you got to remember a couple things, too, as you guys talked about the trade. And I know the Laker fans are good, but I mean, I like the trade for the Lakers, but, they were playing good. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They just won at New York. And, when you bring somebody in, you're going to have 2 major adjustments. You don't have Davis in the middle. And a lot of times he's the key for that. He's the engine that keeps it going, not LeBron. They play through Davis. So now you're going to have to try to play without him. And then you have 2 guys that literally almost play the same position. I think the Lakers aren't thinking about this year unless they get make another trade, because it's going to take probably 2-3 weeks to adjust to each other and without Davis. And I think they're thinking next year. But, it's tough for a team who's coming off, remember they were number 1 in the Pacific Division. They led the division, and, it's going to be big. But
I don't think the division matters anymore, though.
Yeah,
it's like not like it was when we were growing up with a division.
No, but I'm just thinking the way they were playing, it's a huge adjustment. I mean, we'll see.
Right.
I mean, I just, I think the trade, and I also think there's something we don't know about. People ask, oh, he could have gone on the free market. Why did he only work with the Lakers? Why did he do this? We just don't know. And we probably won't know for a couple of months. I know money is about it. As we all know, Dallas has new owners that own 76% of the team, and you got to do what's best for the franchise and the future. I mean, Luka's good, but if he can't get in shape and, he wants a super max, 480. I mean, we're dealing. I mean, imagine if we had to pay Green $45 million a year instead of only 20, and he's always injured and he's coming in and out of shape. We would think, what the hell were we thinking? So I think there's a lot more to it. But let's talk about the Warriors. This is this was a big game because it ends the 9-game home streak. Now they go on the road. Like I said, I think it's 12 out of 15 on the road, and this would be make or break the season. And who goes tonight? Tonight, maybe after the Phoenix, you keep hearing about this was the first game since the Phoenix blowout and all these trades. I know Looney after the Phoenix game, hey, are you concerned about being traded? Maybe these guys mentally just weren't in it tonight, shooting all the bricks because they're so concerned about possibly being traded. And if they can survive to Thursday and they're not traded, then they can put their minds on the last third of the season. Because, all these players have families. So I think, we didn't really think about that. I think it's important. But hopefully they can go to Utah and get off on a good start on the road trip.
Yeah,
what do you think, Dan?
I was on the Warriors right now. I would be I agree with that take. I think basically Anthony Slater said it today. He basically said that everyone on the Warriors right now, including Draymond Green, could be moved except Steph Curry. He said the only player, the Warriors aren't listening on is Steph. And
Ryan,
not to move off, but to move in a deal.
Yeah. Ryan, you were talking about some of the big guys. You're going to have to give up Kuminga, and if they don't take Green, you're going to have to give up Wiggins and probably Kuminga for some of these superstars.
For who?
I mean, what does KD make? 52 million?
For KD, you're giving.
I'm just saying of those big guys, you're going to have to give up
Wiggins,
both. Are you okay with that?
Oh yeah, for KD, I think you win a championship without Kuminga and without Wiggins. If you have KD, Steph, Draymond. You still have Schroeder in this situation. That's a pretty good 6-man. You'd still have Looney. You'd still have a lot of most of your team. I mean, you're not in that situation. You're giving up Kuminga, Wiggins, and some picks, and probably Kyle Anderson or something else to make the salary. I don't think I think the team gets a lot better, and I think it sucks to lose Kuminga for the future, but I think you can snatch a ring in the next. That gives you a 3-year window. The next 3 years with KD and Steph. KD's better than Steph still. People got to remember that. KD's having a better. I think Steph's still all time a better player, but currently this year KD's having a much better season. KD's 4th in the league in scoring. He's average. He had a rough game against us. He only got 19 points, but he's averaging 27 a game. He's having this one of his most efficient years ever from 3. I'd love to have KD back on the team. Just I think it's perfect because the Warriors, won without him. So I think for Steph and everybody, I think the only one who would have some trouble with that is KD. But if it's we're trading for him, I think he'd come back and it would be fine. As long as I don't think he'd ever come back here as a free agent, but I think KD would fit right back in. He's already played with us. He's already been in this system. He knows Steph. He knows as long as him and Draymond could figure it out, I think it'd be good. And what's your take on that, Dan?
I mean, I think KD, I don't know the 3-year window. I don't know. I think the league's younger. I think it's not an old man's game. And I really think if they're going to do something, they probably got this year and next year at the most. I think when you get into the year after next, KD and Steph 2.5 years older or whatever, I just don't see it. I just think that the time is now. This is there's no dominant team this year to me that says, it's not like the Nuggets 2 years ago where everybody knew the Nuggets were going to win it a couple years ago, right? Was it 2 or 3 years ago? The 23 season, whatever the season. I mean, you knew the Nuggets were going to win it. I mean, this year it's wide open, and you don't know what it's going to be like next year and the year after. I would suggest that San Antonio will be reloading and getting more players in the offseason in free agency. They've got picks, they got money. People are going to want to. That's a destination spot now with Fox and Wemby. So they add a third star. I think San Antonio moves probably to the top with Oklahoma City and Houston. I mean, those are the teams that are going to be. I mean, OKC and Houston not only are young at the top of the league, but they got tons of draft picks.
17
So-
combined first-round picks.
Yeah, so I just think if the Warriors are going to do anything, I think they better go for it now. I mean, you don't have 2 more years after this.
I didn't mean 3 years they have to wait. I meant if you trade for KD, even though you're giving up Kuminga, I still think you get 3 good years out of KD is what I was saying.
I think you can get years out of KD. I don't think you're winning a championship with Steph and KD 3 years from now in their final year of the contract. I just think they have to do something this year, and probably next year is the last chance you have. I don't think, I think San Antonio's going to
unless
be,
you trade for a Giannis. I think if you got Giannis, I think that extends the window because he's so dominant, and Steph could play.
If you get KD, how are you going to get Giannis?
No, I'm saying I was just thinking in my head. I think you're right, just because of Steph age. What I meant to say before, I was thinking in my head was, I think you're right because Steph's age too. Even if KD, because I was saying I think KD will be better a little longer. You got to keep in mind too, and you know this. When you're a big guy in the NBA, it's a lot easier to get your shot off, and so I think KD will have a few more. But I think probably Steph, probably 2 more good years. But I think KD actually might kind of have like a LeBron thing where he plays till he's 40 because he really just loves the NBA and he loves basketball. That's like all he does and talks about. I don't know if you ever like watch a podcast with KD. If he stays healthy, I think he'll play and be good until he's like 40, just like LeBron. That's just my take for KD.
Yeah, it'll
just because he's so big and he shoots over everyone. It's crazy.
Yeah. But you still need a supporting cast. You can't just do it with 2 guys. I mean, you can't just have. It's not like the Warriors in their heyday. They had 4 stars, 5 if you count Iguodala. I mean,
right.
You had Steph and KD and Draymond and Clay all in their primes. And then Iguodala was the older guy, but he was still super effective. And then they had, an incredible bench with Livingston and just a lot of. There was the second unit could carry the team at times, and now if you trade a bunch of guys to get stars, I think if they got, let's say they went out and got 2 stars right now, they would have to give up. They'd have to gut their team. They'd have to call up a couple guys from the G League, and they'd have to, add Pat Spencer to the roster and just to field 12 men. If they had 3 stars, they could win it this year. They could, but I think it would be kind of like,
hurrah.
Yeah, it'd be going for it and saying we're going to try and do it this year. That's why I thought if they had a shot at LeBron, it could work. That would be a very tough tandem to stop. I think the 3 best players that fit with Steph would be LeBron, KD, and Giannis.
Right.
Because
you
get a Banchero. I don't think. Yeah, you get a Banchero. I don't think that moves them to they're unstoppable now.
No.
It's a
I
young
would just move a
star,
lot of assets for him because he's the reason I brought up him or LaMelo is they're young enough where it's you move a lot of assets for them. You feel better about it because they're not old, right? Like this KD thing where we're saying, we're arguing if it's a 1 to 3 year timeline. With LaMelo, he's what, 24? It's you got him for 10 years. He's going to be good if he can, or if if you got Paulo, I like more, he's going to be good. I think he's even younger. Paulo's 20, I think. So he's going to be good for another at least 12 years. And, so that's why I would do something for a younger player or like a Giannis. And I think Giannis is 30 because they're young enough where it's all right, you trade all your draft capital. They're still playing when those picks are gone. So you don't feel I don't want to trade all my picks necessarily for a KD. And that's why I would trade for a KD because KD, what's good about it is he only has a year and a half on his deal. So actually they've already set the market for that. Well, Luka went for 1 pick Fox went for 3, so it's going to be 3-1 because, I think he's as good as Luka, but Luka only went 1 pick. So then Fox got 3. So I don't think we'll have to. Maybe I think we give up
I
2
understand.
first.
I mean, Dallas should have got another pick. They should have got the 2031 pick, but
Right.
in the sense of, I mean, the Warriors would have to give up more picks because you're not getting a all NBA player. I mean,
oh no, we're gonna have to give up 2 picks. That's what I was
when
saying.
Anthony Davis is healthy in his game and he's a top 5 player. He really is. He's unstoppable and he's a great defensive player. So, I mean, I love AD. I wish the Warriors could have got AD.
But Wiggins,
because
what would you say Wiggins top? I'd have Wiggins in the top 25 this year. He's made a lot of people's top 25. He was ranked by the players it was like number 18 by the fans. It was number 9. I think media was like 12.
Wiggins is a good ball player. He's playing aggressively. He's taking the ball to the hoop. He's using his tornado.
Kuminga's probably a top 50 player with a lot of upside. So I don't know.
I mean, Kuminga is
he's averaging 16.5 too, so it's not like he's a slouch. Kuminga on the point per game stuff too.
LA for life. He says Dan showing his basketball knowledge. Kyrie and Bron coexist in Cleveland, and they are both ball dominant. Laughing out loud. They were also 10 years younger.
Kyrie's also played is a shooting guard. He's not played point guard most of his career.
Yeah. I mean, if
remember they had Thompson in the center who controlled the boards. Thompson was
and they had Kevin Love too, and also
Kyrie played with Luka. He just played with a mini LeBron.
Yeah, he's also Kyrie is
the shooter.
He's the shooter. He's the ball handler. But you got to look at this. That was 2015, 16.
Yeah, it's so long ago.
It's like, what, 9 years ago? Kyrie was, 24? LeBron was in his early 30s? I mean, a lot different. They were playing a lot harder.
Dan.
They played defense. LeBron's 40. Luka's 25, but he doesn't play defense. He's out of shape. He's a great scorer. But you can't have 2 ball dominant great scorers and not have someone have to give up something. Somebody's got to give up something. So
yeah, I guess that's what gets me a little scared with the KD stuff when you actually kind of break it down and think about it. So that's why I'm more, for even like a LaMelo, just because maybe it doesn't make you better, but it's a big move which makes you better for the future. Or not LaMelo, but just a younger, Paulo or a Giannis, a younger, not someone who's 35, basically. It would be nice to get someone 30 or under is kind of where I'm at.
When you get up to that 36, 37, 38, man, anything can happen. I mean, it's just like, I watched Steph play really closely. He is definitely conserving energy when he's out there playing. He's not
end of the game.
Running, he's not out there running like crazy. Like, he will in big games when he's up for it, but he's got to conserve his energy. And I'll say this, if the Warriors don't make a trade for a superstar, a truly second, it's got to be a significant upgrade over Wiggins. Okay. Wiggins scored 25 tonight. He's
That's
aggressive.
The Wiggins is like really good. That's where I'm getting the issue with is like
he had 15 free throws tonight.
Yeah, how much better of a player? It's got to be like a better player than Wiggins. That's why it's got to be at this point. It's got to be a KD. It's got to be a Giannis. If you're going to go, trade Wiggins, it has to be someone who's right. Don't you think?
That's what I was saying before you interrupted me. I
was agreeing with you.
I think they have to either get a superstar or they're going to finish 42, 43 wins in that range. And we're going to lose our bet. If they don't get a superstar.
I think Vucevic gets us to 46 wins. That's kind of where we were at last year.
Could be.
It doesn't make us a championship contender. I think we lose in the first round to, one probably unless Steph goes crazy. But I think Vucevic gets you because you can get, we've talked about, you can get Vucevic, and this is not who I'm saying I want to get, but I'm just saying worst comes to worst. I hope they do something at least like that where you're not mortgaging the future, but you're at least giving Steph a shot in the playoffs where it's like, all right, dude, go see if you can go crazy like you did against Sac and, have some fun. Because he enjoyed that playoff run. He's talked about that he enjoys making the playoffs. He doesn't like to be at home watching the playoffs. I think any star player wants to at least make it,
Yep. Luke,
what do you think about that?
Give us your thought on this Mark Graves comment.
Oh, yeah.
You've been watching Curry for many years.
Yeah, I think the problem is he doesn't really have help. And I think he needs to play more. I mean, this is the first time, and they didn't do it the first 25 games of the season, where they're really having him start, giving him 3 minutes, and then he goes right back out. If you remember, he played the first 6 minutes. He would play he would sit, and then he'd come in maybe the last 6 minutes of the second quarter. So again, it's a lot different than he's used to. I think, he's worried because he goes, hey guys, I'm going to give you my 20, 30 points a game. But if Wiggins doesn't score or they don't have that second scorer, he's almost like, I'm not going to try because we're going to lose. I think two things, guys, is I have a feeling the Warriors aren't going to do anything. And they're going to say, listen, we got Green back and we got Kuminga in 2 weeks. That's like picking up 2 players, and they're going to keep their nucleus. That's what I personally think is going to happen. And one more thing I want to get back to the Lakers is, people aren't talking, but I thought Max Christie's pretty good. Maybe they only got one because they said, hey, we'll give you I'd rather have Max Christie than a future number 1 in 3 years. You're trying to win right now. So, I think one of those things, you got Max Christie and Davis. I mean, the Warriors got it there, and Max Christie, we would see a difference. You guys are talking about they only gave up 2 number 1s. They're trying to win now. So who cares about another number 1 5 years from now? That's what I'm saying. They got a person that can help them out. And you got to remember that the Mavericks lost one of their best players who's out unless they make the playoffs. So, a lot of things go into the trades, but that's just one thing. But I personally think, and again, it could be one of these things, guys, when we had, again, thinking of how it was before, if we can get Kuminga back, we have another score. If Green can improve, why really get rid of what we have? If these 2 guys go, we can somehow make the playoffs. That's what I'm thinking they're going to do, because I don't think they're going to get any of these big guys. I don't think any of the superstars are going to move. Now, again, anything can happen, but that's my personal thing, because you got to remember, guys, if you looked at the standings, there's other teams that also want other players. It's just not us. So, and I know our roster maybe isn't as good, but when you get Kuminga back, that's an added 14 points a game, and maybe Green, doesn't get in trouble. You got to remember, we haven't been playing with these guys that long, and we're a 500 team. Now we get 2 guys back. They're thinking, hey, instead of 500, maybe we're 3 over. Maybe that's, I'm just thinking that's sort of how it is, because, I've been hearing that from the Giants for the last 5 years, and maybe Dunleavy says, hey, guys, this, hey, let's play it safe, because, that's personally what I think, Dan.
Yeah, I personally don't think there's any chance that happens, and I'm trying to just figure out, and I'll text in the group chat.
Well, you got 3 days, but okay,
I want to put on it, but yeah, hopefully we can place a wager on that, and I'll hedge my Warriors win bet. But anyways, there's no chance. I think Joe Lacob is definitely, at this point, if he's not more the one personally making the calls, he's literally telling Dunleavy to start calling these teams. I think I know for a fact that, actually, because Anthony Slater, who I would respect a lot, very tapped in with the Warriors, reports for The Athletic, very good writer. He literally said Joe Lacob at this point is making these calls, and he is now involved. He said he's not willing to sit pat. He said Mike Dunleavy is a much more, I forget the word he used, but level-headed and won't be super aggressive. But he said Joe doesn't think like that. And, I just disagree. I think that Joe Lacob is way too aggressive of an owner. I think Dunleavy, if a move doesn't get done by the trade deadline, through Joe's trying to push it, I think Dunleavy's gone. I don't think Joe Lacob. This isn't the Giants. Joe Lacob doesn't play. That's just my take, and I'm curious to hear what Dan has to say.
Yeah, I agree that I don't think if they make anything significant of a move, I think Dunleavy might be gone. I said that the other night. I want to address a couple things from It's Your Boy OG PK Returns. What the heck kind of name is that? It's Your Boy. What is that? Is that a book cover or what is that? It's Your Boy OG PK Returns. He's the LA guy, it looks like. Hey, it's your boy OG PK Returns. You talking about the Lakers and the Warriors having a better roster? Yeah, the Lakers have had 2 stars. They had AD and LeBron. Now they got Luka. I think Reeves is a good player.
I like Reeves. I'd love to get someone
Reeves.
like him.
Yeah, I like Reeves. But you still haven't won a championship since 2009, or was it 10 you won the last one? You won one in 10. That's right. You repeated 09 and 010. That was your last championship. Don't give me your 2020 crap. I don't count bubbles and no parades.
Dan, you are missing the in-game tournament of last year, the first annual in-game tournament in Las Vegas. They have a pennant up for that.
Oh,
Remember
that's
that?
right. They got that. Right. They got that.
In-game.
What do they call it? In-game tournament.
In tournament, right. Yeah.
Yeah, dang. And didn't they hoist the flag, raise the flag?
They did. It's up there. If you look.
Oh my goodness.
The in-season tournament. Don't forget about that banner.
Dang, that was a good win, Lakers. I give it to you.
Michael has a good question for you, Dan.
What star would you want? I mean, my first choice would be Giannis.
Yeah.
And then I think
give us your top 3.
I think it would be Giannis, LeBron, and KD. Those would be the 3 guys that, to me, fit with the Warriors, that are the type of players that, Giannis probably gives you the best combo of offense and defense.
Yeah, DPOY before.
Yeah. KD gives you probably just the ability to score when you need a bucket. And then LeBron just gives you his overall,
everything.
Great passer. Great passer. Great. Fits in well. Wait, did the Suns make KD available? Well, they've talked. The word is that if they do not get Jimmy Butler, because somehow Bradley Beal has to waive his no trade clause.
No trade. And
you're probably going to have to get a 3rd or 4th team involved to get him to go where he might want to go. I don't know. So I think if that
Beal holds the cards on that too, because he can always just say no, which is nice.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So if that is the case, KD, they may be willing to move KD, is what reports are saying.
Yeah, Slater said today, recently, he was the most recent one I saw. It was a late night one on 95.7 The Game. He said the most recent report from the Suns is basically what you just said. And just the only thing I'll add is that he said, basically the Warriors are going to have to wait till like tomorrow or Wednesday to find that out. And if they're not, and it could even come down Thursday, but that the Suns are listening on KD and they're kind of trying to see what the deals are. So basically what it sounds like to me is if they can't get this Jimmy thing to move, they're going to then pivot to possibly move KD and Beal in a different deal. And then, kind of split it up and build around Booker. Apparently Slater said Booker is untouchable still. They don't want to move Booker.
I could see Lou being right in the sense that with his take that the Suns are desperately trying at the deadline to get this thing done with Butler, and they run out of time. They just don't get it done. And then there's no time to move KD. I don't know. Maybe they get down to the last half hour. They've got 2 deals in place. They say, okay, we can't get the Butler deal to work, so we're moving KD. And maybe that's how this comes about. I think the Warriors, too much smoke out there, people talking about the Warriors making a big move. A lot
I think
of
if they
people,
don't do it, people are going to roast Joe too, right?
yeah, I
Fans,
mean,
don't you think the fans are going to be upset? Because I'll be mad.
I would be thinking it would be a pretty rough around there, because I think Joe literally is an ultra competitor. And when he found out the whole deal, I think he's just been frantically calling people. And here's my take. I could see Joe making a deal, but I could see him giving up way too much because he's desperate. I could see him
True.
giving up like 4 or 5 1. Look, I'll just whatever it takes. Kuminga, Wiggins, Green, 5 picks. I got my guy. I could see that type of move, and of course he'll pin it on Dunleavy.
Yeah, I think that's a good take. Actually, I was about to say what I think is more likely than Lou's take is that Joe is so aggressive right now, and he is just freaking out because, again, most valuable team in sports. I don't think he can even just sit pat. I don't think you can do that just as a owner right now, having this big of a team. And I think what's more likely is you see a deal. And I hope they don't do this all of a sudden, Dan. What I'm scared of is all of a sudden this KD thing doesn't work out. And because, Beal doesn't want to go to the Heat or whatever it is. And all of a sudden they're like, actually, we will give Jimmy Butler the extension. Jimmy Butler at the last day is like, oh, you know what? I'll come over. I don't want to stay on the Heat and be suspended all year. That's my biggest fear, actually, is I think, super likely because we've been linked to Jimmy for so many times. And I could totally see them giving up like 2 firsts for Jimmy, Kuminga, and then Wiggins, which I think would be a terrible deal. And that's like my biggest fear personally, is something like that coming down, because the Heat want a couple picks, and that's the only thing that would even match salary is like you'd have to give up Wiggins. And I think I've talked about this before. I think Wiggins is better than Jimmy Butler for us in the regular season. I think Jimmy's a playoff player, which Lewis said too. I agree with that. But I don't know if he necessarily gets us to the playoffs this year.
Yeah. I hope they don't just make a crazy move just because they couldn't get something done and they've been talked about, like you said, and they just pull the trigger.
Would you be more happy with someone like Jimmy or Zion, or someone like just a middle move like a Vucevic or a Kyle Kuzma or a
I don't want
Williams?
Kuzma. Kuzma's not having a good year.
No, I'm just saying like a middling move where you didn't lose much. You lost some expiring players you probably weren't going to sign anyways in some seconds. Would you be more cool with that, or a bigger move where you're giving up a lot and it's like
I'll tell you the guy I'd rather have than and I've heard they may be linked still to Cam Johnson.
Yes, they are still linked to him, Slater said today.
So
he thinks the Vucevic, he said the Vucevic and the Johnson deals are what he predicts are the most likely to happen.
Yeah. I'll tell you the deal that I think I would like to see happen here. And I got to pull it up. Let me see here. There is some talk that there's a battle that happens with some of these players with Nike and Under Armour. And there could be a situation where the Nike representatives are blocking certain trades to go play with Steph. There's I think, and I looked it up earlier today and I can't remember, but I think Joel Embiid is a Under Armour guy, is he not?
New Balance or something weird like something like
sure?
that.
I thought it was Joel Embiid. Let me see.
I might be wrong, but I thought for some reason.
No, Joel Embiid is Under Armour. Yeah.
Oh, he is. Wow.
Yeah. So there is that connection. Oh, no, wait. Under Armour confirmed with FN that its deal with Embiid came to an end in October 23. Okay. Okay, so I guess he's not Under Armour.
Deloading says he's Sketcher.
Yeah, he's not Under Armour. Okay. So I think sometimes the Nike situation could be an issue. I mean, I don't know.
I don't even think
Nike,
that's a conspiracy because Jaylen Brown, like a lot of NBA players have said that Nike blocks stuff. That's why
oh yeah,
Jaylen Brown thinks he didn't go to the Olympics.
yeah, Nike does have a big, huge pull and sway in this. So I was trying to see who the top Under Armour guys are. That's why I thought maybe the Warriors might be in play with Fox because he's got a Steph Curry shoe.
And I think they would have been if he didn't want to go to. We found out today. I was like, why was he so destined? Like, why did he want to go to the Spurs so much? Well, he's from Texas, and his
Right.
wife, I guess, was the All-American there, and now he's wearing her jersey number.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it's got the hometown. Where was that for Aaron Judge and the Giants, man?
Yeah, exactly. Let me see which current.
And then another one I saw that was pretty good was where is it? There was something about. Okay, yeah, here. Dan was Michael asked. Dan was Sacramento crazy for trading Fox? I'm curious to hear what your take is on that.
I don't think so. I think they did pretty well in that trade. They got 3 firsts, probably it'll end up being 2. They got 3 seconds, which it'll probably become 2 seconds, the Charlotte pick. So
Plus,
but they got Zach LaVine, and he might be just the right type of fit for Sacramento. I mean, he's playing well. And what does this do for the Sacramento fans in the group? Does that move this Keon Mitchell? Is it Mitchell? Is he their other guard? Does that move who moves into their starting lineup? In fact, let me just look at their lineup for tonight. I'll look at the box score and see who they're starting.
We're pulling this up. I don't know if this is accurate or not to the people watching us, but deloading from the chat says Phoenix needs Beal for the Butler trade, which we have mentioned, and that is true. But he says, but Beal has already said he doesn't want to waive his no trade clause. I haven't heard that. If that's the case, this definitely helps the Warriors a lot in their attempt to get Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I was right. Keon Ellis moved in. He played 34 minutes tonight. So Keon Ellis took over for Fox, and then you're going to have their starting lineup will probably be I'll bet you they'll go with. I'll bet you Murray will move to the off guard, and Monk will be the one, and Ellis will be the one, and Monk will come back off the bench, and they'll put LaVine in there. It'll probably be, that's just a guess. Sabonis, DeRozan, LaVine, Murray, and Ellis, with Monk being that 6th man again. What do you think?
Right.
Solid.
Oh wow.
Without Fox, they were 7-2 this year without Fox in the lineup.
Wow, this is true, deloading. That's great. I think maybe the Warriors really are at play with KD. Something that KD said too, which I found really interesting, was after Luka got traded, and Slater said that KD's in on these trade and he knows that the Suns are possibly moving him. KD was like super depressed, and he's like, anyone can get moved. Like, and maybe KD knows he might be getting moved back to the Warriors, and that's why he's kind of bummed. He's like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to deal with Draymond again and get all this crap. I don't know. Maybe you never know.
What is deloading saying here?
Deloading's basically talking about Brad. So basically, he commented earlier that it's reported today, and this may or may not be true. I didn't see this, but deloading's usually accurate. He's saying that that basically Bradley Beal reports came out later today, that essentially Bradley Beal doesn't want to move, and he's decided he doesn't want to necessarily waive his no trade clause.
Maybe he likes Arizona. A lot of people moved to Arizona and love it.
And
I can tell you that.
That would be great. Bradley Beal,
stay
there. Stay there. We will take Kevin Durant. We'll send you Wiggins. We can convince the Suns they can still make the playoffs. And they actually might. I think what? Do you think the Suns would make the playoffs with Wiggins, Kuminga, and like Kyle Anderson coming back for Kevin Durant? I think they'd still be a playoff team, don't you?
Yeah, they'd be right there. I mean, if you look at the standings, it's so bunched up. Everybody's like all together. I mean, the Warriors are tied for the last spot in the play-in. They're tied for 10th. And let me
then
just pull up.
Then they could start Beal and Booker, and then you would Wiggins, right, in KD's slot, and then you don't have Wiggins is a much better defender, and then you got Kyle Anderson coming off the bench plus whatever filler. I think that maybe we could convince the Suns that would help them a lot.
The Warriors are 3 games out of 6th.
And we're tied for the 9th, essentially.
Let me see if I can predict where this thing ends up. Okay, so OKC stays at 1. Memphis and Houston stay in the 2-3, 3-2. They'll be there. The team that makes the biggest move to me in this is Dallas. Will move into the top 6. They'll go from 8. I think they get to all the way to 5. I think the Lakers drop out of the top 6 and fall to 7 or 8. I think the Kings will be right there at between 6 and 8. Phoenix could fall out if they do trade KD.
You're saying where do you think the Warriors end up with KD?
If the Warriors get KD, I think they can get to easily 7 and it'll an outside shot of getting into the top 6.
Oh, I think they easily get in top 6. I think the Lakers are going to fall really hard. I think you're losing.
Well, I think the Lakers are falling. Yeah, I do think the Lakers
Yeah.
are going to fall. I think. I mean, Denver
just
will
lost
remain
their center too.
Yeah, Denver's going to remain in the top 4, 5. The Clippers should hang in there. I think Dallas makes a move up to 6 at least. T-Wolves, I don't know what they do. I mean, this is not easy. The Warriors are. I mean, there are 6 teams. If you take from 6 through 11, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, that's 5 teams. They're all basically right there. I mean, the Clippers seem to be a little better than the Warriors. Warriors don't match up well with them. I think that would change if you get a KD. Bill M says, Dan, mark my words, Mavs fall with AD. Wow,
Definitely
Bill.
possible. It's a possibility for sure. New player.
I think they move up personally. I could see I just think Dallas, they've got Gafford, and if Lively comes back, which is 50-50, I'm hearing, he might not even make it back. But Gafford and AD, and then you got Christie now, and you got Clay and Kyrie.
I mean, come on, guys. Come up with chats that you think. I mean, that's the dumbest thing I've heard.
I actually don't think that's dumb. I think that's a decent take.
Oh, you guys don't realize how great. I don't understand why you guys do not understand how good AD is.
Well, he's hurt for
Davis
one.
is the best defensive center in the league. The best.
Right, but
there's nobody. He's better than Joker. There's nobody better in the West than Davis. He's the best center there is. Now he's not even going to have to play center because they have 2 centers. He's going to play the 4. He'll be more ferocious. I mean, I think Dallas, right now, Sacramento, and San Antonio are all going to be better. I mean, who are you guys going to stop? Are you going to stop Fox or are you going to stop Wembley?
We split hairs here on some teams. I think Dan was totally right about the top 5. I totally agree with you that the top 4 are going to be definitely the same 4. I think OKC's 1. The 2 through 4 might swap a couple slots. I think they're all within a half a game now. I think our best shot to get in the playoffs is to hope And I think it's very realistic that the Luka LeBron pairing doesn't match up super well. They become a play-in team. They just need to fall. And then, the Clippers, you're not too far out of them. I do think the Clippers are a better team, but, you got a KD or make the right move. You don't need to be better than them. You just need to be better than that, higher than them in the standings. So, we've already played them. I think we only have one more matchup this season, so it's not.
Haven't beat them yet.
No, I don't think we will. But I'm just saying we need to.
I don't think we will either. I don't think
we will.
Any of the LA teams.
No, I think we're going to beat the Lakers on Thursday. Actually,
have an outside shot of beating the Lakers just because AD's not in and Luka's not playing.
Correct.
So
I think you can get them while they're down defensively. We've beaten the Lakers every time without AD the last 2 years. They seem to, we seem to play a lot better. We beat them this year without AD. Dan even said he's like 80 plays we would have lost, and I agree because we did the next game. And so I think we could have them on that. But my take on the Warriors with the playoffs, I think they have a shot at the 6. I think, if you can get the 7, though, I think like we've talked about before, that's a home playing game, and that's not the worst spot to be in.
Bill says, Lou, you guys this and you guys that. Just keep watching, Pops.
For real.
He's coming at you. You came at him hard, Lou. He's coming back at you with the dough.
Hey guys, I mean, I just don't understand some of the logic sometimes the chat comes up with. I mean, you guys got to realize we're not 100% sure, first of all, we're even going to get KD. So we're talking, hopefully we do. And most importantly is of the 3 trades, yeah, maybe the Lakers take a few steps back, but Mavericks are better, Sacramento's better, and the Spurs are better. Okay? I don't think people realize the Spurs didn't give up their second or third best player beside Wembley. They now have a guy, Fox, who's going to be unstoppable. And if you double team or you do anything, you got Wembley, who's unstoppable. They're going to be the Spurs right now. If they are going to be so different than anything we've seen before. So you got to remember they're going to be good. So I think the Warriors, if they don't get someone like KD, I like what some of the guys with the chat say. If we're not going to get somebody KD, then let's give stuff up for the future because we're not going to be.
People talking. You guys keep talking about that. I think the problem with that, and Bill Simmons talked about on his podcast, he's right because they were saying, "Oh, what stars could even be moved now?" And he thinks that's one of the ones that would be unmovable too. And I agree because the problem with Steph is you're just not going to get the value back that you guys, or maybe not you guys, maybe Dan's on the same page as me, but you, Lou, think that we're going to get back. Steph is making almost $62 million a year, and he's averaging, I hate to say it, but he's not getting, he makes too much for his production at this point. And in the new salary cap era, you're not going to, he makes it the right for our team because he's the number 1 jersey selling. He's the only reason people even show up to the games. But I just don't think you're necessarily going to be able to get the value back for Steph. Do you guys think? I think Steph at this point in his career gets you 2 first-round picks at most because you're going to have to give so much back to Steph just to match the salary because he makes $60 million. You're going to have to gut your whole roster.
Ooh, look at that. Didn't realize his finger. Spurs
wow.
Might have to shut him down to have surgery. Wow.
I did know about his finger. This is an ongoing issue for Fox the last couple of years.
Wow, if that's the case. You look at the standings here and you see that they're 21 and 26. They fade out, and then the Warriors are really just fighting one of 5 teams really for. I mean, that's another reason if you can pull
KD for the Suns, you pop them, right?
Yeah, I mean, but then there's always the possibility. Wouldn't it be funny if the Warriors were able to bring KD and Clay back, all of a sudden they get Clay back. But I don't.
That would be absolutely nuts.
Have a good night, Mark. Thanks for joining. There was a comment in here that somebody said to me, and I think it was Adrian. Yes. I never said they were making the finals. I just said I think they make it into the top 6. But I'll tell you what, I did put some money down on the Mavericks at plus 3,500 to to win it because Kyrie's a championship player. AD's a championship type player.
So is Clay.
And you got Clay. And I actually think the Mavericks, when it comes to the playoffs, will be the toughest team to beat besides OKC. And they can beat OKC. They did it to them last year. And defense, I mean, you got to realize the Thunder don't have a center. Hartenstein, isn't he hurt or is he back?
He's back, but Hartenstein's not, we saw it the other night. He can't really score. He's a good rebounder and he's a good player, but if you just, Looney
Anthony Davis, I
Looney
think,
bullied him.
Eat
Looney
up
bullied
Chet
him.
Holmgren. He would.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I think in a matchup between the Mavericks and OKC, you got to remember that's a very close proximity. I mean, that's close together. That's like closer than LA and San Francisco flight wise. That's just so that's like when you play them in a series, it's no big travel or anything like that. It's just like home and home almost. So I think if you get into a matchup there, I wouldn't be surprised to see Dallas win. I think Dallas is a better team. It's hard to say this, but a better team playoff wise, and maybe not regular season, but playoff wise, I think they're a better team right now because you got to remember, yes, Luka got you to the finals last year, but look what he did in the finals. He was terrible.
Yeah,
in the sense he didn't play any defense. He just whined and complained to the refs. Even after the game, he complained that the refs remember the foul he fouled out for a blocking call. He got his sixth foul and he was acting like he was
after game
set.
one. He wasn't even a team player.
No,
after they lost game one, he didn't care.
Yeah. Do I think the Warriors make a trade? My prediction is they'll definitely make a trade. They'll make a trade. I think the least they come out of this is with Vucevic out of Chicago. I think, and that's not going to cost you much. That's going to cost you 2 players and a couple of ones.
I mean twos. You mean twos?
I mean twos. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple of twos. It's going to cost you 2 players and a couple of twos.
Yeah.
And yeah, Chad, you're right. If Lively comes back and is healthy, and you got Lively and AD and not Goddard, Gafford's.
Yeah, Daniel Gafford.
You got those 3 guys. That's kind of like Cleveland's front line.
Right. And I think they'd whoop the Warriors. I wouldn't want to play that team. I don't know if they're necessarily.
Oh, they would destroy the Warriors.
Yeah.
Because the Warriors, that's the problem. The Warriors, and you kind of have to look at teams like that and see, is it worth going all in if you can't match up?
Well, I think you get a KD, then I actually think you could maybe beat them. And again, you don't know if you're gonna you don't know if you're gonna play Dallas. And this, Dan. And in the NBA, it's matchups, and a lot of times you get lucky. You don't have to play a lot of these teams that I think that's why one of the big reasons in 2022 the Warriors won the championship, and you might agree, it was the matchups. We got good matchups. We didn't have to play the Lakers. We didn't have to play the Clippers. We didn't have to play a lot of these teams. I think might have beaten us that year.
Didn't have to play Phoenix in the finals.
Yep. So it was a lot of teams we kind of avoided.
Yeah, that was going to be rough.
Dan,
if they had to play Phoenix in the finals.
Dan, check the private chat, please, because this was an hour before the game. Check the private chat.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean they got Luka. They got Luka after he beat them in a 7-game series, and Luka did the same thing against us. I'm sure you might remember that. You kind of faded out.
I wanted to get to one comment. Somebody mentioned, do I like Post, Mike? I like Post. I think he needs to. I think I heard Frank say, I was on a show last night with Larry. He talked about Post. He says Post has skinny shoulders. and he needs and you can't get leverage to push guys around when so he needs to bulk up. But I like his shot. I like some parts about it, but he kind of gets beat down low when you watch him. He doesn't have any lift off of his legs. He can't jump. And if you can't box guys out and guys can jump over you because you don't have any upper body, he's going to have to put on 25 pounds of muscle in the upper body and he's going to have to be a different looking player, which hopefully it doesn't screw up his shot. But let me pull up.
Sounds like a good college player, but not a pro.
And then PK, I'll read. Dan talked about Brandon Ingram earlier. We kind of mentioned it. Dan's take was just that basically he doesn't want to move Wiggins for someone that's not necessarily that much better than Wiggins. And Brandon Ingram was one of those people.
All right, here we go. This was came out earlier tonight. The Warriors getting
an hour before the tip-off.
Kevin Durant is the most unhinged rumor of the NBA trade deadline. We finally have an NBA trade rumor so delusional that only the Warriors could truly believe it. Okay, let's see what this says. All right, blah, blah, blah. So even if it seems impossible, one could be forgiven if thinking an NBA team featuring those three. Oh, they were never going to get both of them. Was this article talking about getting both or one of them?
Yeah, look what we'd have to give up. Both.
Oh, they were never going to get both. Who talked about that? Andrew Wiggins, Buddy Hield, Podziemski, Santos, Green, Payton, Looney, Kuminga. And you'd give up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys to get 2 players back.
No, Bronny. Don't forget about Bronny.
Oh, I guess he'd have to be on the active roster because you don't have enough to even field a starting 5.
Yeah, he would be on your roster.
I mean, who would be left over to start with Durant and James? You would have Moody.
Yep.
You would have Slow-Mo. And you'd have Post.
Right.
and
which he's starting now anyway, so that's not bad.
I can't even believe Post is starting for the Warriors. That's
he shouldn't be starting, but I think
it's a joke.
I think Looney. The problem with Looney, you can't start Looney because he just can't play that many minutes. And I like Post more than TJD.
What happened to TJD? Didn't even show up today. He didn't even get off the bench.
Yeah, well, TJD, he goes through these soft phases. He plays really good for a couple weeks, and we've talked about this before. And then he gets really soft, and then he, I don't know what his thing is. I think TJD. I'd like to trade. We talked about this, Dan. I'd like to trade TJD in some package or something.
Yeah.
If a team's interested.
This trade would be wild. You'd go 9 for 3, and you'd have Steph, KD, and LeBron. There's no chance that happens. No chance.
No.
But I do think there's a 50-50 chance they can land KD and maybe a 10% chance they could. If LeBron decided he wanted to move on, if he could be talked, the Warriors would get him because the Lakers could get the draft picks. They could get Wiggins. They could get,
and they'd still make the playoffs.
Kaminga. They'd possibly say, okay, we'll do the deal if we get Kaminga. Because now you got Kuminga and Luka that are super young. And
even if you didn't give him Kuminga, I think, give him Wiggins. Wiggins is 29. I think Wiggins and Luka, that's the kind of player you want to actually pair Luka with is a couple wings who are really good defenders and can shoot threes.
Is he being serious here or who's Slow-Mo?
Kyle Anderson.
Yeah.
I think he also asked who Bozo was.
Bozo?
Come on.
That's Pods.
Was Pods in that deal? Was he left over?
I don't know.
Yes.
He was thrown in there?
Right.
All right. Jeez. Well, I think that's enough for tonight, guys. We've been going an hour and 19 minutes. Thanks to everybody watching. Guys. Hey, before you guys leave out of here, see Better, BETR, right up there. BETR. All 3 of us on this screen right now have Better downloaded. It's the daily fantasy sports app for the NorCal Sports Network. Download the app and put in the promo code NCSN, or better yet, just click on the link in the description. It'll take you right to the Better and it's right tied into our link, so you'll already have the promo code in there, and you get a $250 deposit match. That's pretty incredible, guys. $250 just for signing up and putting in whatever you put in. If you put in 20, they'll match you 20. You put in 50, you get 50. You put in 250, you get 250, up to 250, plus a free pick. And with the Super Bowl coming up, all kinds of props, all kinds of fun stuff, man. You can just have some fun with that. And you know what? If you put in $50 and you lose your $50, guess what? You still got 50 more. All because of Better. So go do that. BETR. Put in the promo code NCSN. That's the promo code that gets you the 250. Also, let's Better know that you came here from NorCal Sports Network. So, guys, thank you for watching this show. We'll be back tomorrow night with a little Giants baseball talk. We'll figure out the content subject matter. We haven't ironed that out yet, but that'll be at 7:45. And then Wednesday night, Warriors, Utah. We'll probably just cover the two basketball games during the week just because it's dead right now.
We'll hit the Thursday game. Oh, you want to hit the Jazz game?
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, let's do it.
And we'll see how it goes.
It'll be the last day of the trade deadline. It'll be good. Let's do a trade. We'll make it a trade talk because the Jazz game won't be super interesting. But
we'll do that. And then hopefully, guys, I am, if you're Giants fans out there.
Definitely a Super Bowl show.
Yeah. Giants fans out there, I am working on trying to get Casey Schmidt back on here on the channel and maybe even Tyler Fitzgerald with him. So if we can get that worked out, we might even have that jump in this week. I don't know. I have to hear back from him. So we'll see what happens. Can't promise it, but we're working on it. And again, thank you for watching this show tonight. We really do appreciate you being here. And make sure you come back. Check out our videos. We'll have some more out tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.